Stress, the great sleep disruptor. Stress is an inescapable part of our everyday lives. Stress can improve our sleep, health, energy, relationships, careers, and lives, or destroy them. From the moment we wake up to the moment our head hits the pillow each night, we experience constant stress. We can't escape stress, even though we try, so we must learn how to master it. Mastery happens when we learn something and consistently implement it in our lives. But what is stress? Stress can be defined as our body's and mind's response to any demand, real or imagined, positive or negative. It's important to understand that not all stress is bad. Complementary stress, or eustress, is the kind of stress that can have positive effects, such as exercising or studying for a test. Mostly we feel stress whenever there is a challenge or a change in our life. Stress, when understood and mastered, can be hugely beneficial. It can help us get things done, increase our creativity, and even enhance our performance. For this book's purpose, we will be exploring uncomplimentary chronic mental stress, which makes up about 60 to 75% of our daily stress. This type of stress has very little benefit and comes from mainly how we think and the meaning we apply to our thinking. It's that feeling of your life being out of control and the perception that there are problems in your environment that you have no control over. It's the never-ending onslaught of emails, phone calls, text messages, bills, have-tos, and to-dos. In today's fast-paced world, we all feel pressure to perform, handle more, and always be on. As a result, many of us have forgotten how to turn off, which is why we have trouble either getting or staying asleep each night. We are overworked, overweight, overwhelmed, and consistently underslept, all of which compound the adverse effects of stress in our daily lives. When we feel stress, whether it's real or perceived, our body's fight or flight, think survival, response is activated, triggering an increased heart rate, heightened muscle preparedness, sweating, and alertness. All of these responses help protect us in dangerous or challenging situations, but contribute to disease when left in the on position for too long, which is what happens when we don't know how to release it from our mind-body system. Unmastered chronic stress can have devastating consequences for our health. It's linked to just about every disease: obesity, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, stroke, and Alzheimer's, just to name a few. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, it has been estimated that 75 to 90% of all doctor's visits are for stress-related ailments and complaints. We live in the middle of a stress epidemic, which contributes to the lack of sleep epidemic. The World Health Organization stated that stress is the epidemic of the 21st century, and it's costing us big time. According to Gallup research, only 30% of us are engaged and performing at our full potential, and almost half of us struggle to balance work and life. When we don't learn how to release stress, our performance and ability to contribute our best to our families, organizations, and communities suffers. Unmastered stress is the #1 performance killer and thief of energy and joy. Unfortunately, we were never taught how to manage stress, let alone master it. We learned how to manage stress by those who didn't know how to manage their own. We learned ineffective, counterproductive ways of managing stress, which can be summed up in the following 3 ways. 1, lashing out in anger or frustration, which creates a loss of relationships. 2, zoning out with TV, movies, social media, or work, which creates a loss of time. 3, numbing out with food, alcohol, and other drugs, which creates a loss of health. The stress triangle is how most of us have learned to deal with stress, and it's creating so much of the unnecessary suffering in our lives. Hopefully at this point, You're wondering, how do I become a master of my stress? The first step to stress mastery is what I call creating stress awareness. It's identifying your unique stress blueprint or how you deal with stress. Simply put, a stress blueprint is a preset program of how we handle stress, which includes a combination of thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and actions about real or perceived stress. It's our default learned stress pattern. How do you currently manage your stress? Do you lash out in anger and frustration? Zone out with work, TV, shopping, surfing the web, or video games? Or numb out with eating too much food, drinking too much wine, or smoking? What's your stress pattern of choice? The next step is learning to check in rather than check out. This requires us to take a good look in the mirror and be honest with ourselves, even if we don't like what we see at the moment. This step can be uncomfortable because we have to be honest and identify the unhealthy ways we currently deal with stress. The third step is implementing new strategies and tools to change our current stress blueprint. To do this, we must make stress mastery practices a non-negotiable part of our everyday lives. This takes a commitment, but will allow us to retrain the parasympathetic relaxation response, or as I like to say, learn to switch off again. Choosing to let go of self-chosen stressors, practicing mindfulness and meditation, cultivating authentic connection and community, and getting support from a coach or therapist allows us to live in higher efficiency. We can then tap into higher levels of natural energy to perform at an even higher capacity. It also allows us to get the much needed sleep we need to do it all again the following day. We can't escape stress, which is why it's essential to learn how to self-regulate and release it. To regulate stress, you have to find the strategies best suited to your needs and personality. This process takes time and requires openness and commitment. One of the frameworks I use to help my clients rewire their stress blueprints is called the release method. The first step in the release method is to recognize that you're feeling stressed and identify the root cause. What is the thought or belief that creates tension, tightness, and constriction in your body? Is the threat real or imagined? The second step is to feel the stress. This is the part most of us want to skip because we're addicted to feeling comfortable. However, without feeling the pressure, it's much harder to release it. So identify where you are holding the tension in your body. Usually we feel stress in our neck, shoulders, stomach, face, or lower back. The third step is to choose to release it by choosing to rest, recharge, or reset. Let's explore now how to rest, recharge, and reset.